Hi guys, well today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new release from Corsair. This here is the 4000D. Now this case is available in two different styles. There is one which focuses on airflow with that perforated front section, and then we've got this version that we're going to be reviewing today, which has that closed off front panel and which settles for more of a sleek aesthetic. So if you're on the hunt for a clean looking enclosure for a new system build, then the 4000D may be one to look out for. It has that elegant approach to case design with a particular focus on cable management. Now as I mentioned, there will be two versions of this case here. I've been told though that they're going to be around the same price, so if you're in the US you're looking at 80, and then in the UK it's around the 80 mark as well. And then in Australia it's around 130. So that indicates quite an affordable case, and perhaps it's one to add to the shortlist for those of you with a new upgrade plan. But should you be considering this case? Well, let's find out. Before we begin, today's video is brought to you by ASRock and their Z490 Extreme 4. This is the company's mid-range offering under the Intel Z490 banner. It has full support for Intel's 10th gen processors and future releases using LGA 1200. This board also carries a rather capable audio package which includes the Nahimic software suite, which allows you to optimize the sound according to the devices that you're using. And not wanting to miss out on the RGB lighting, Extreme 4 is also equipped with RGB headers, which also include addressable options. ASRock's Polychrome RGB is readily available, allowing you to fully customize the lighting from these headers and across the board. For more info on the ASRock Z490 Extreme 4, please check out that link in the description. Right guys, we're going to start at the front of 4000D, and as you can see, we have a sharp looking front section which is sleek. And rather than opting for a plastic panel as most manufacturers do, we have this solid steel single piece which looks and feels extremely durable. You can see the finish on that panel has more of a matte texture and does actually feel a little bit rough. Now obviously this is a closed panel and therefore it is necessary to have some form of ventilation down the sides, and as such there is a small gap that runs down either side. Whether that is sufficient for cooling will be revealed in our web review. The link for that will be in the description. Now this panel simply pulls off the chassis from the top and the bottom. And the mechanism that Corsair has employed here uses metal studs, and it works surprisingly well. On the underside of that panel we have a detachable dust filter. This is a single piece and it has some magnets to help it sit into place, and you just pull from the handle at the top to remove it. Out of the box, in its stock specification, 4000D comes with a single 120mm intake fan, and that is installed in the middle spot. That is one of Corsair's new AirGuide fans. And at the front here there is allocation for a total of 3 120mm or 2 140mm fans. Now the front panel connectivity sits at the top and it is quite sparse. We get the power button, one USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port, a headphone and mic combo jack, and the reset button. Would have been nice to see a bit more USB connectivity here, even if it was just an additional Type A. However, I do really like the inclusion of that yellow styling on that Type A. That yellow is something that Corsair has added in very subtle manner in different areas of the case, as we'll discover. Now further back at the top of 4000D there is a large magnetic dust filter which is easy enough to peel away by simply pulling that yellow Corsair tab. And underneath that we have some extra spots for installing more fans or radiators. And so up at the top here we can install either 2 120 or 2 140mm fans. For the side panels we have tempered glass on the prominent side, which gives you that edge-to-edge viewing of the internal components. And then on the alternate side, just a solid steel panel. To get inside we just need to undo the thumb screws on each panel. There are 4 in total, and then just pull away from the chassis. And with those panels removed we now have a view inside 4000D, and this case follows a traditional layout for a computer case. It accommodates up to the eATX form factor, and inside we've installed an ATX system for demo purposes. 4000D has some excellent features built into it, with the cable management being a particular highlight, and as you can see there, we're able to create a really nice, tidy looking PC. So we'll now go in for a closer look and we'll start with the power supply area. Now the power supply sits at the bottom of the chassis. On the prominent side there is this large shroud which conceals it, so it's necessary to go over onto the alternate side to install it. This does however present a problem if you've got a larger power supply just like ours, a 180mm. The hard drive cage will prevent you from moving it in. But thankfully Corsair has not only made the cage adjustable, but has given thumb screws so it's quick and easy to shift it out of the way. You can see from the underside of the case that uses slightly different mechanism for fitment, but it is very secure. and that PSU of course has that dust filter underneath which can be pulled out from the rear. Above the power supply we have 7 horizontal and 2 vertical PCI covers. Each of those have the ventilation cutouts and they use thumb screws to make life a bit easier. As you can see, we've utilised the vertical PCI arrangement for installing our card. If you do want to do the same, you'll need to purchase a riser cable that isn't included in the bundle. Above this, Corsair has included another Airguide 120mm fan. This one of course is positioned to be a rear exhaust, and that has the adjustment rails if you want to move it up or down. In terms of the storage, there is the ability to house both 3.5-inch drives and 2.5-inch drives. The hard drive cage here features 2 plastic trays, and as you can see, we've installed a 3.5-inch drive inside one of these here. That simply drops into the tray without needing any screws. However, if you did want to install a 2.5-inch drive into this tray, you can do. All you got to do is attach screws to the underside. There are another 2 spots for installing those 2.5-inch SSDs. Those are on the back of the motherboard tray. A thumb screw holds that tray onto the case, and as usual, screws just need to be attached to the underside. And so not a massive amount of storage here, but that should cover the basics. Okay, so next we'll get a closer look at the clearance options within 4000D, as this is quite an important area for you system builders who need to know whether something will fit or not. And so for the CPU cooler, you have a maximum of around 170mm for the height of the heatsink before it touches that side panel. Our cooler here is around 160mm and it has no problems. For the GPU, you have all the space from the back to the front of 4000D, which gives you around 360 to 370mm, which shouldn't present any issues for any graphics card. Behind the board is where we store all the cables, and so this is quite important. There is over 2 centimeters here, which is more than ample for keeping those cables tucked away. Now, Corsair has given 4000D what they term the Rapid Route Cable Management System. This really neat feature includes the cavity, some brackets, and included cable ties, and this just makes the whole job of arranging the cables within your system just so much easier. And for me, the cable management is a highlight for this case. And Corsair has also provided a concealment bar for slipping those cables through into the main section. There isn't any need for those rubber grommets or cutouts. If you do want to make use of that E-ATX form factor, then that bar can be adjusted to entertain that. For water cooling, we have numerous spots to install different size radiators. The front allows for 360 and 280mm. The top can house a 280 if you've got that low profile memory, otherwise a 240. And the rear can obviously take that 120 as well. And lastly, we're going to do a quick sound test to show you guys what you can expect in terms of the sound levels with a full system installed. As a reminder, 4000D comes with those 2 120mm fans. And so here we have our KC330D sound meter, and here is the decibel reading. So that is the lowdown on Corsair's new 4000D. It is available in 2 different versions. We've been taking a look at the model which has that closed off front panel, and I guess you could say it has that more of a refined aesthetic. What is evident from building inside this new enclosure here and spending a bit of time with it is that it is very well made. Not only from that features and layout point of view, but also from the build quality aspect. You know, you take a look at the chassis, the side panels, that front panel in particular, it just looks top spec, and it feels it as well when you actually touch the case. But it also carries through into the smaller things like on the back here, on the storage trays. Fundamental to 4000D is the ability to take full control of the cable management due to that rapid route system on the back of the motherboard tray. The implementation of such a feature means that you can easily feed those cables through and keep the inside looking neat and tidy, and that takes minimal effort. I guess the only areas that could be improved on this model is that lack of the closed panel on the top there. Would be nice to have that to coordinate with the front of the case as well, to have both closed off, and the lack of the USB on the front here. We've got a Type-C, but the only other port aside from that is the Type-A, so connectivity might be an issue for some. So 4000D can entertain a wide selection of hardware. It isn't exactly expensive either, 80 in the UK, 80 in the US and 129 in Australia. But what do you guys think of this new release here? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're interested in seeing how this case performs in terms of the cooling, be sure to head on over to vortest.net. The link for that will be on the screen in the description. I'm going to do a thermal test there so you can check out how effective this cooling is inside this on the stock settings with that stock arrangement with the fans. So guys, thanks for watching today. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.